what's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the First Things First podcast. Hey, Brazz, I got a question. Why are we doing this podcast?
Man, so that kind of goes back to every Wednesday here at our brokerage, we have people that come in that give us some trainings on what they can do to help our agents and so we can help our clients. They brought breakfast, they talked about their business, and then after breakfast was over, I was helping them carry some stuff back out to their car. And on the way back in, the guy stopped me and he said, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "What has made you guys so successful in this short amount of time?" And immediately I was kind of taken aback by that, because that was the first time really that I can remember somebody outside of our business using the term successful. And so I really, not necessarily in that moment, but that's what took me back. But, you know, I would spend some time thinking about what success is and what that looks like for me. But the main thing that I went to in that moment was exactly what I believe we do differently or do on a different scale than maybe some other people do, and that's put God first in our business. And so that's what I simply told him. I was like, man, hey, we put people first. And then the second thing I said to him was to remember to chase people and not money. And then they left, and then that kind of sat with me. The two things from that conversation that sat with me were, what is success? Why did he view us as successful? And what do I view success as? And then the second thing is, because that's just a canned statement. Hey, chase people, don't chase money. And I was like, man, really thinking, what does that mean? And then this podcast, whenever you came on board, and, this has been a culmination of many years. This isn't just yesterday we decided, we're going to do something like this. And just getting to think on those things and what that really looks like. And then some of the revelation in reading through the Bible and just the things that, the Spirit is, that I've received in doing business a certain way. I just wanted to be able to share that with other people.
Yeah, so we're doing this because we want to help leaders, we want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, all that other stuff. We want to help you grow in your business. We want to help you build your teams, but we also want you to do it while keeping the first things first, while keeping God first. So a lot of our conversations, maybe we will introduce scripture and talk about how does this apply to whatever field that you're in. You do real estate, I'm in pastoral ministry. So these are principles that are universal, that apply in all regards.
100%.
So you said the first thing we want to talk about is chasing people over money. In some fields, the bottom dollar, the bottom line matters a whole bunch. You in real estate, you don't make sales, you don't get paid, you're in a commission-based field. Right. Talk to me about what chasing people over money looks like, and how do you keep that as a priority, especially in a commission-based field?
Right. So I think there's several different facets to that. But the first thing I go to is and I would tell any leader this, anybody who's wanting to develop and growth in business, entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter where you're at. I would say identify your why. What gets you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning? What gets you to bed early to rise the next day to go into whatever it is you're going into? What keeps you doing that through the peaks and the valleys? So when I answered that question, for me, it never really started with money. It wasn't like money being the first thing and raising my hand, hey, I want to make $1 billion. There was a little bit of, hey, I want some freedom in my time. Yeah, I'd like to be able to provide for my family in a good way, but that wasn't the main focus. But then I keep digging into that more. And my why is to lead as many people to Christ as I can. And if they're not ready to accept Christ, it's to continue to show them the love of Christ through business.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where we're meeting. That doesn't matter if it's discipleship from somebody from the church. It doesn't matter if I'm meeting with an agent in our office. It doesn't matter. That was my why. So once I identified that why in a commission-based business, I have to think, well, what would Jesus have done? Everybody says, what would Jesus do? And that's kind of the old cliche and all that kind of stuff, the bracelets from the 90s, showing my age there a little bit. But truly, what did Jesus do? Did Jesus seek money, fame, fortune, all those kind of things? No. Jesus came to be the ultimate servant. And I think in business specifics, if you are seeking people to serve them, no matter what business you're in. If you're doing that, God blesses that. God honors that. Now, is it in $1 million in the nicest house and the nicest cars? No. That's a completely separate conversation. But it seems like if you're in alignment with doing what God has already said to do, which is show people love, put no other gods before God, and chase after people, you're in alignment with God's will anyway. And it tends to be that not everything, but things fall into place for you in business.
So we have a mutual friend that says this, that positional leadership is the lowest form of leadership. And what that means is that if you are leading a team, let's say you're leading a team, you're working with people, and you say, hey, follow me because this is my job title, that is the lowest form of leadership. And I think Jesus mirrors what it looks like to be a servant leader. We have a men's Bible study every Friday, and I brought this up at our last one, but I was like, man, how committed was Jesus to that message, to taking the place of the lowest slave, right? He says, if you want to be great in the kingdom of God, you take the place of a servant. If you want to be first, take the place of a lowest slave. I automatically go to Jesus washing the disciples' feet, because that was the lowest place in the household. But even if you take that a step further, it's like Jesus would wash the feet of people who would doubt him before they doubted him. He would wash the feet of people who would deny him before they denied him. And he washed the feet of somebody who would betray him before they would betray him. So Jesus was so committed to that message that even knowing what people would do to him in the long run, he was like, no, I'm still going to serve. Okay, so here I've got a question because, we're talking about people over money. How do you keep those priorities from flipping? Especially here's the scenario. You're a sales agent and you haven't made a sale in a long time. And maybe you're panicking because, you've got bills to pay and all that other stuff. Or you're a business owner and you're just not meeting your numbers. So how do you keep people over money instead of letting money try to overtake people?
That's good. So for me, it goes back to the why question. Why I do what I do every day. The second thing that I would tell somebody that's in that situation is if you stay in alignment with your purpose, whatever that purpose looks like for you, if you're in alignment with those things, you're walking in the right ways. The same God that's the God of the mountaintop is the same God that's in the valley.
That's good. And
so if you're in a valley, I don't believe it's God's intention to keep us there. We're seeking him. We're walking out our purpose. We're in alignment with what God has for us to do. But there are going to be valleys. There are going to be times when it seems like I'm never going to have another closing, or I'm never going to have another sale, or, I started this business and now I have these struggles, whatever that may be. He's the same God that's in that valley with you. And here's what I can promise you, because a lot of times, getting to meet with people and getting to sit down with business owners and business leaders and things like that and talking through some of these things, sometimes they say, well, I just feel like not showing up. Like when it gets that way, I feel like not showing up. Okay, I hear you, but here's what I can promise you. If you don't show up, 0% of anything is going to happen for you. Yeah. So 0% of zero is zero, and it will always be zero. So you have to keep moving forward, whatever that looks like for you. Continue to try, tweak your systems, whole other conversation, but you have to start trying to do some things in that to get back out of that valley.
Yeah, it makes me think of Psalm 23. It's like, hey, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death or deep darkness, depending on your translation, right. The key word is through.
Yeah, it's not a destination.
It's not a destination. Another thing that people don't think about is growth actually happens in valleys. Mm-hmm. Innovation is there in valleys. But what I've seen a lot of times, especially from a leadership perspective, is a lot of times people get so focused. So here's the danger of flipping the two. People get so focused on the numbers that they run over people. And I'm a big believer that if you value people, it will drive the numbers. I was talking with somebody just yesterday. They're a top salesman in their business, you know what I mean, and their team. And their leader was kind of asking, he was like, hey, what's your secret? What do you do? And he was sharing, he's like, man, I show up. I have a cup of coffee with them. I ask them about their wife and their kids, and then I go check their back stock, and I'm just honest with them. Like, hey, you're low with this. You're low with this. Do you want me to put in an order? Or, hey, it doesn't really look like you need anything. Do you want to do something now or just wait until the next time? And then he says he has this second cup of coffee. Now, the temptation for any other leader would be like, well, hey, if you didn't have that second cup of coffee, maybe you could go catch somebody else.
Right.
But it's often that second cup of coffee that seals the deal. That's why he's got a repeat customer. That's why his customers trust him. That's why they keep going back to him.
100%.
I'm in the church world, and I'm a big believer in this, that love flows down. Right? So I think sometimes the best way to love the people of our church is to love our team really well, because there's no way that I can love everybody in our church, but together we can. So I like spending time pouring into leaders, valuing them, telling them how much I appreciate them. And what I've learned is that if you will love your team, if you will love people over numbers, they will actually carry your vision further than you could in your own strength.
That's good. Yeah, one of the things I heard not too long ago was, to make sure I get this right, if you're chasing money, you often use people. If you're chasing people, God will often use you if you will allow him to.
That's really good.
And man, again, that goes back to my why. And what I would encourage people to do is really just figure that part out. Figure the why out of why you keep doing what you're doing. And we just recently did that here at our business, where we started asking people to identify their why. And usually, sometimes it starts off super selfish. Hey, I want to make $1 million. Hey, I want to go take a trip to wherever. Hey, I want the nicest car, whatever it may be.
Cadillac and bonbons.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, realtors do not eat bonbons and drive Cadillacs. I just want to throw that out there. That is not the reality of real estate, what you see on TV. No, it's a little side note, but that is not the reality. Anyway, asking them to identify their why. It may start off with those kind of things, but when you start digging into that with them, a lot of times it has to do with, hey, I want to leave a legacy for my kids. Hey, I want this place to be better than it was when I leave it. And I know for me, man, like you and I have had this conversation, but I don't want to die one day and then, have said at my funeral, hey, this guy made $1 bazillion, lived in the nicest houses, drove the nicest cars. That's not my purpose. That is not my goal. I would much rather, because I can't take any of that. None of that stuff's going with me. None of it. Do you have to have money to live? Sure. Do you need a place to live? Sure. You have to have all those things. But what I want to be remembered as is somebody who led somebody else to Christ.
Yeah, that's good.
Somebody who represented Christ well. And hey, I haven't always done that. Great. That's been a learning process for my whole life. We call that the sanctification process.
Yeah,
man, and I live in that every single day. And I've failed in areas, yes, 100%. But at the end of it all, man, that to me is so much more important than $1 million and getting to take a trip every now and again and drive a nice car. I mean, those things are fleeting and they don't last.
Yeah, I think we all want to leave a legacy, right? I heard of a pastor that wrote his own obituary, and he wanted to live a life that resembled what he wrote down. He analyzed where, if I continued on the path now, this is where I would be, but this is what I want to be remembered as. If you look up legacy, it's often material possessions that you pass down. I think legacy's bigger than that. I'm reading Mark Batterson's book, Gradually Then Suddenly, and he says legacy isn't what you pass down, but it's what other people's do because of you.
That's good.
It's what other people do
so
because
good.
of you. Yeah, that only happens if you love people really well. So you love people really well. You treat them really well. In real estate, every person, every client isn't a number. They're a person that I get to gradually and then suddenly affect every aspect of their life by helping them find their dream home. And it just so happens that you get paid for it,
Right.
One more leadership thing that came to mind that I heard, or just kind of in the same vein of what you were talking about, is there's a number out there that I can't give you the actual statistic, but the truth is that people would rather make less money and work for good leaders. So people who value people over the numbers than make more money and work for somebody that doesn't care about them. And if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a leader, even if you're a real estate agents are self-leaders. If you lead a team, a brokerage, whatever it is, love your people really well, right? If you got high turnover, ask yourself, hey, Is it because I'm focused more on the number than I am on the people, or what can I do to pour into people, or care about people, or develop them, or invest in them? I think there's a longer return, or a better return, by investing in people instead of just throwing numbers and looking at numbers.
It's good, and that was one of the hardest lessons for us to learn growing a business. It was kind of always there, like we kind of knew what we wanted to do, what we should be doing, but it was kind of like the groundwork of getting a business started kind of took priority over the people that were coming in. And it's not like we didn't care about them. It's just we didn't intentionally have things in place to do those things for them. So that was the switch for us. It was to intentionally focus on our people, their growth, their development, their leadership, being the type of leader that they want to follow, leading by example, like all the stuff that we talk about. And if you are, again, a business owner, somebody that has people under you, or a team lead, something like that, really take a look at, and go back to the podcast name, but what is first? The first things first. Yeah. And I know we had talked about this prior to coming on here, and I think it's important we hit on it, because sometimes when I meet with people, I'll ask them, hey, what does the priority of life for you look like? We'll be doing time blocking, or looking through their calendar and seeing what they do at certain given times, because that's a big deal a lot of times in running your own business. Is you're not punching a time clock, yeah. Right? So you're managing your own time. So we'll start looking at it, and I'll say, hey, what does a priority of your life look like? And most people will say something to this effect: faith, God, family, then work. But in looking at their calendar, there's not places for the top two. So then I'll ask them, hey, okay, if we're going to say God's first, if we're going to say what I like to say, family and friends second, then work, if we're not prioritizing those top two, because number 3 is technically number 1A, yeah, or 2A, then there's a problem there. And I think we need to really look at that and dig deeper into that with people.
That's good. Easy litmus test to tell what you prioritize. Bible says where your heart is, there your treasure is also. And the way that I think of treasure is where you spend your time, where you spend your talent, where you spend your resources. You can really look at somebody's calendar, tell what they value. You can also look at their pocketbook and tell what they value. So I know we've talked a whole lot about why. I think our next podcast should be talking about what the why is. But I think it's about time for us to wrap up. There's a C.S. Lewis quote that we want to put in front of you guys, and I think it really drives the heart of this podcast. And this is a paraphrase, so if I quote it wrong, don't send any angry emails. But C.S. Lewis said, if you keep first things first, you often receive the second things. But if you get if you put second things in the place of first things, you often lose everything. And that's why we do this podcast, right? We want to keep things first, because if you don't, you really risk losing everything. Well, hey guys, that's it for the very first episode. Thanks for joining in with us today. There's a couple things that we'd love for you to do. We would like for you to follow it or subscribe, no matter where you're looking at or watching from. And then lastly, if you think that this would bless somebody, send it to that person. If it would be a way to help them or encourage them or grow them as a leader. But hey, we thank you for your time, and we can't wait to see you again.